Hello and welcome to the Colorado Fruit and Vegetable Growers Association Lunch and Learn webinar, Farm to Food Bank, Fostering Relationships with Colorado Producers. I'm Adrian Card with Colorado State University Extension and board member of Colorado Fruit and Vegetable Growers Association. I'll be your host today for the CFVGA Lunch and Learn webinar. This webinar is part of the business strategy series intended to bring growers the best in business opportunities and resources. In today's webinar, we'll focus on why and how to donate or sell produce to Colorado's food banks. CFVGA is the go-to resource for Colorado's fresh fruit and vegetable farmers. We connect Colorado growers with industry, government, academia, consumers to strengthen and expand Colorado's fresh fruit and vegetable production. For more information, check out the webpage at coloradoproduce.org and follow CFVGA online at facebook.com/CFVGA. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started for those of you just joining us. During the presentation, you'll find, if you mouse over the bottom of the Zoom window, a toolbar. In that toolbar, you'll find a button for Q&A. You can click that button and enter your questions for our panelists there. We'll answer those questions as appropriate during the presentation or after the presentation. I'll try to make our panel today as conversational as possible. And during the presentation, I'm going to conduct several polls with you to get your feedback, engage you, allow our panelists to see some of your thoughts. So when a polling window appears in your computer screen, select an answer and click on that answer to submit it. Polling is not visible in the recorded version of this webinar. But today's webinar will be posted for CFVGA member viewing to coloradoproduce.org/business development. Very excited to have with me today at the Extension office in Boulder County, live, 5 of our panelists sitting together to present with you, for you. With me are Bob Boswell with Weld Food Bank, Katie Ettman with Food Bank of the Rockies, Jason Feld of Care and Share, Josh Green of Food Bank for Larimer County, and Karen McManus of Community Food Share. These 5 food banks represent Feeding Colorado, which is a network intended to help provide these services to Coloradans. So with that, I'm going to pass over to Katie to start their presentation. Katie, I'm going to stop screen share and then allow you to screen share.
Wonderful, thank you. Just a moment. Great. So hello, everyone. As Adrian said, my name is Katie Ettman. I am representing the Food Bank of the Rockies. And first, I want to thank you for joining us today as we discuss opportunities to foster relationships between Colorado producers and food banks across the state. We hope that this webinar will help answer any questions our audience may have, as well as enlighten viewers on the great work that is already being accomplished in our mission to end hunger in our communities. To sort of set you up about what we'll be going through, we will be discussing sort of what Feeding Colorado is, how it works, the economic incentives working with us, why produce is so important, and then sort of next steps and the actions that we can take. Before we get into that, I'm going to give you a little bit of background about hunger in Colorado. And just to move it over, we will be doing a polling question first.
Great. Let me launch that poll for you. Okay, viewers, your turn to vote. First question, the ratio of people struggling with hunger in Colorado is 1 in 10, 1 in 5, 1 in 3, 1 in 7. Go ahead and select your answers. The ratio of children in Colorado who do not know where their next meal will come from is 1 in 6, 1 in 12, 1 in 5, 1 in 8. Great. So here's how everybody voted. and I don't know if our panelists can see this, but I'm going to read this to them. Our voters primarily selected the ratio of people struggling with hunger in Colorado as 1 in 7. And the majority answers for children not knowing where their next meal will come from, they selected 1 in 6.
All right, great. So in those answers to our polling questions, so people struggling with hunger in Colorado, the answer is 1 in 7. And then for children, the answer is 1 in 5. So as you can see on the slide, a couple other statistics we have for you, and that these numbers really are startling, but they are very real. While some see our economy is turning around, many Coloradans still face issues that make our work more important than ever. The face of hunger can be surprising. It can be your next door neighbor, someone at your church or your children's school, your coworkers, and even some of our farming families. One thing we learned quickly in the food bank world is that you can never judge or assume. Many of us are just a paycheck away from disaster, and often food is the first thing that gets cut from a household budget as people prioritize how they need to spend their money. Additionally, it is often children and seniors that feel the impact of this. Many children really do go to bed not knowing where their next meal is coming from, and when summer or holidays hit and schools are closed, this issue becomes even worse. They count on those school meals and snacks. Recently, we heard about a boy who was disappointed that there was a 3-day weekend ahead simply because he knew that with the closure of school on Friday, that he would not receive his backpack of food for the weekend. Many seniors make similar difficult decisions about whether to pay for their medications before paying for the light bill, let alone shopping for food. And if they have pets, that may keep them company and who they love, they're often buying pet food before buying food for themselves. All of these are examples and show us what hunger looks like in our communities. It's also really important to note that no matter the cost to the food bank of bringing in food, our neighbors struggling with hunger never have to pay a penny.
Hello, everyone. My name is Josh Green. I'm the Food Resource and Transportation Manager for the Food Bank for Larimer County up in northern Colorado. And myself, along with my colleagues here, represent the food sourcing arm of Feeding Colorado. Feeding America is the largest hunger relief organization in the United States. There's approximately 200 member food banks that comprise its work. Colorado has 5 of them here, and we work together under the name of Feeding Colorado to address the challenges of hunger and food insecurity in our state. The 5 of us are Care and Share in the southwest part of the state with a 30-county territory, Food Bank of the Rockies, whose territory consists of 31 counties, as well as the entire state of Wyoming. Weld Food Bank and the Food Bank for Larimer County service those counties respectively, and then Community Food Share services Boulder and Broomfield counties. Under this umbrella of Feeding America, we respect each other a tremendous amount, and we work very effectively to serve the areas that are assigned to us and source within those areas as well. So when donations arise, the food bank whose territory it is gets first dibs on that donation. With that said, all 5 of us work very hard to make sure that we share anything that we can't use in our own territory so that it can go to meet the need in other parts of the state. We work to source more than we can use so that we can share with our other member food banks. We work hard to find a home for anything that might fall into our lap. And our goal ultimately is to successfully meet the demand of our clients and our agency partners. Being that there are 5 of us and we have such an incredible infrastructure between us, we have an unmatchable power to move product, and especially less than perfect product. And to that end, we hope to work directly with you because we are the most effective in moving that. There's no middleman when you work with us, and we know the need and we know how to move it. And that's why we're here today, is to start that conversation and tell you a little bit more about us. So to touch on that infrastructure, collectively, we have the capacity and fleet to service the entire state with incredible efficiency and effectiveness. There's not a single county in the state of Colorado that's going unserviced. In addition, there's close to 1,000 agency partners working really, really hard to provide food assistance to clients each and every day, and they count on us for that food in order to do that good work. These agencies might be soup kitchens, food pantries, homeless shelters, and the list goes on and on. Additionally, many of us have repack rooms so that we can actually take bulk product and change the format so that we can distribute it based on our needs and our agency's needs. So this is a great option for producers knowing the cost of boxes and other packaging, and it helps to eliminate that barrier from this relationship. Last year alone, we distributed 105 million pounds of food throughout our state, and we expect that number to increase in our current fiscal year. I'm going to hand it over to Bob Boswell of Weld Food Bank to talk to you a little bit more about the financial incentives involved.
Good afternoon. I'm Bob Boswell. I'm with the Weld Food Bank in Northern Colorado. I wanted to talk about two new tax laws that affect farmers and food banks. It's our hope that these can help when either nature or the marketplace make it impossible to have a profitable sale of less than perfect product. First is the Colorado tax credit. And with the guidance of Feeding Colorado, the Colorado legislature in 2015 signed into law the Colorado Charitable Crop Donation Act. Now, this bill was intended for fruit and vegetable growers as well as meat producers, dairy and grain farmers, and it allows for a tax credit of 25% of the wholesale or retail price of the product to be taken off of their Colorado income tax. Now, that's a 25% tax credit. Now, in order to utilize this credit, the producer must file a Schedule F on their federal return. Now, while there exists a yearly cap of $20,000 of product donated, which equates to $5,000 tax credit, if a donation in a particular year exceeds that amount, then they can roll that credit over into the following year. And as the slide shows here, additionally, the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act protects any donor from civil or criminal liability when they donate food in good faith to their local food bank. And as far as I understand, there has never even been a lawsuit begun based upon that because the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act works so well. The second tax law is the PATH Act. In December of 2015, Congress passed what's known as the PATH Act. While there are many details to this act that are not related to the donation of food, a portion of that act allows for tax deduction when producers donate product to food banks. Unlike the Colorado Charitable Crop Donation Act, which expires in 2020, this act is permanent, allowing farmers and ranchers to incorporate donations as a regular part of their crop planning. In many cases, both the Colorado tax credit and the federal tax exemption can be used. Recently, a large vegetable producer in northern Colorado was struck by a hailstorm, effectively wiping out their cabbage crop. We talked to them about the possibility of there being cabbage that was still edible, even though it wasn't saleable. We discussed the numbers involved with both the tax credit for the Colorado state income tax and the federal tax exemption, and to see if it would make economic sense to go ahead and harvest the usable product for donation to help feed their hungry neighbors. After they consulted with their tax advisors and discussed the logistics of it with their team, this producer was able to make the numbers work and donated the usable portion of their crop, and that crop is now in the hands of people all over the state who are able to put it to good use. I'm going to turn this over to Karen now. Oh no, we have a polling question. Aha! If I could read, it would work even better.
Okay, here we go with the next poll. Viewers, tell us what you think. The percentage of Coloradans who do not consume the recommended daily servings of produce is 25%, 50%, 75%, or 85%? Go ahead and cast your vote in that poll. There we go, votes coming in. Got one, there we go. More votes are coming. The next question, Feeding America's ad hoc committee has identified that the amount of produce wasted each year is more than 1 million pounds, more than 5 million pounds, more than 1 billion pounds, or more than 6 billion pounds. Okay, I think everyone has voted. And here's what you said. For the first question, the majority answers for not consuming recommended daily servings of produce is 75%. And the majority vote for Feeding America's ad hoc committee of produce wasted each year, the answer being more than 1 billion pounds. So let's hear what our panelists have to say.
So this is Karen McManus with Community Food Share. My title there is Food Procurement Manager. And as you can see from this slide, it is over 85% of Coloradans are not consuming the recommended daily amount of produce. And to the second question, it is more than 6 billion pounds of fresh produce is wasted each and every year. So why produce? For people struggling with hunger, there are two sources of food that are most important: protein and produce. When food banks were first established in the 1970s to address the need, the main source of food distributed was shelf-stable items such as canned food and boxed meals. While these still make up a percentage of food distributed, we know in food banking that food from other sources are needed to address the health of our clients. The largest gap in diet is in fruit and vegetable consumption, with protein from meat, dairy, and legumes trailing close behind. We are really proud of the fact that we continue to increase the distribution of produce and protein with each and every year. However, it is not always easy. As Feeding Colorado, we attend agricultural conferences each winter to speak directly with producers about this topic. We have been honored to be part of the Colorado Fruit and Vegetable Growers Association meetings the past 2 years and joined as a sponsor member this past year under the name of Feeding Colorado. We also held a breakout session at February's meeting this past year and engaged producers from around the state in this much needed topic. We value the great work the association is doing across the state, and we appreciate being able to reach out to fellow members with our needs. For several years now, we have been working with Colorado producers who have donated and sold product to the food banks. This list that you see on this particular screen is not at all complete, but it does provide a good representation of producers from all of our service territories. We have also established relationships between some growers and our agency partners when there has been an opportunity to do so. It may have been because the producer was located in an area where it was more convenient to donate directly, or because they had a smaller quantity to donate. But regardless, this is always an option as well. Some of the producers listed on this slide have come to count on our business each season and have actually worked this into their seasonal crop planning. They sell and donate to the food banks weekly throughout the season. Because we are part of a larger network within Feeding America, we have even opened up new markets for Colorado producers by introducing them to other member food banks outside of the state, and their product is now being sent to neighboring states. A recent partnership that we're really excited about is being established right now with several CSU research facilities around the state, and it's resulting in produce donations to the food banks. We have seen peaches, potatoes, and now onions, and we are hopeful to grow that relationship even further. We definitely understand the challenges and the costs that can occur to growers, and we work really hard to make it as seamless as possible for them. If product comes to us in bins or totes, in order to cut costs on packaging, we can get those bins and totes back to the producer. If the quantity is so large that a producer can't deliver to the food bank, we can send one of the many trucks we have out to the farm to pick up that product. If the product is still in the field, We work very hard to arrange gleaning teams to go out and harvest that product. We want to have these conversations in order to come up with best solutions for everyone. If you are a producer interested in working with your local food bank or with any of the food banks across the state, but you may have hesitation for whatever reason, we would ask that you reach out to any of the producers listed here on this slide to hear firsthand from them about their experiences. And with that, I'm going to pass the microphone to Jason.
Hello, everyone. This is Jason from Care and Share Food Bank in Colorado Springs. I am the food procurement manager for that food bank, servicing the southern half of Colorado. So I wanted to talk to you for a moment about how you can take an active role in hunger relief with Feeding Colorado. What you see on the screen here are just a few examples of how producers can move product to the food banks. One thing that is important to remember is that no donation is too big or too small. When working with the food banks, it is important to incorporate this information into any marketing materials you may have created for your business. Let your customers know that you work with us. If produce is being sold at a farmer's market, put a sign on your table making customers aware of your relationship with us. Add something to your website. Consider incorporating the message into your packaging. Simply put, toot your own horn. Generates good publicity for your business and can be very beneficial all around. We can help get the word out as well through signage at our own food banks, information on our websites, and collaboration in our various marketing materials. We have a vast audience who will learn about you, your operation, the products you grow, and the work you do with us. So many producers have inquired about our purchasing program. Each of us has a purchasing budget to bring produce and other food items into our food banks. We can't just rely on donations to fulfill our distribution needs. Through Feeding America's purchase portals, we are able to bring in full truckloads of product daily. This product is being shipped from all over the country, Canada and sometimes, and the freight costs can be staggering. It's our goal to keep our dollars in the state as much as possible. Just this week alone, we've brought in apples from the Northwest, onions from the South, greens from the Southwest. Producers from all over the country are utilizing this business model to their benefit, and we want our Colorado producers to know that they can benefit from produce grown in Colorado, and it can have a tremendous impact on the health of those struggling with hunger in our state. So in recent years, for example, we've begun planning ahead with farmers to have their less than perfect product or non-retailable product pulled or packed specifically for food banks. For example, we get regular loads of potatoes from a grower who captures the smaller goods while he's packing for his major retailers. This means edible product is being saved and feeding people instead of laying in the fields. And I think we all know what a hot topic food waste is, both in our country and in the world. And again, we would always prefer to work directly with you, the farmer, than with a broker. So here you'll see the various ways that you can reach each of us. Our contact information is on the slide. If you're unsure who to contact in your area, you can view the map on slide 5, or simply reach out to any one of us, and we will help you or connect you to your Feeding Colorado partner closest to you. So at this point, we'd like to thank everybody for being with us today and open it up to any questions you might have for any of us.
Fantastic. Questions from our audience. Go ahead and type those in. Roll over the bottom of your toolbar. You'll see a Q&A button. Click that button, type in your questions. As they're doing this, panelists want to offer a question to you, and you get to decide one or more people answering it. With your purchasing discretion, have you done any comparable analysis? Do you pay in the realm of what a wholesale price point would be? What should growers anticipate with that, your ability to purchase? What kind of price point would they be looking at?
Again, this is Bob Boswell, and what we've noticed is that there are times when we pay essentially wholesale price for a grade A product when it is something that we truly need. But most often what we're really looking at doing is putting together a price point that reflects a less than perfect product that allows us to maintain our rather limited budgets and allows the farmer to build that into his business model knowing that rather than having all of a sudden a surplus of, odd-sized or less than perfect product, and then having to get a hold of a broker to try and market it, that instead they'll call us first and give us that opportunity to either one of the food banks take it, all 5 of our food banks take it, or in the case where there's such a large quantity of it, actually put it out onto the nationwide marketplace of food banks through the Feeding America programs. Anyone else?
Yeah, this is Josh from the Food Bank for Larimer County. I think an important distinction to make here is that our purchasing budgets for produce are really intended to help offset your cost. And while there are certain programs that we have, whether those be kids meals programs or things like that, where we do have a budget that reflects a wholesale price point, as the food resource people for our individual food banks, our goal with our produce purchasing budget is to, like I said, help offset your cost, whether that be cost of harvest, cost of packaging, and it's called a value-add product fee that we pay. So I hope that answers the question.
And this is Karen McManus. I would also just like to point out that while we do have a purchasing budget, we are always looking for donated product as well. We really can't do this without the donations coming through our doors. And finally, it is very important to point out that all of our clients that receive this product do not have to pay anything for any food that they get from any of the food banks across the state. So while we are spending money to feed hungry people, that is where it stops.
Great. That question of donations, we know the Charitable Crop Donation Act is relatively new. Have you seen that really create an uptick in donations?
This is Bob again. Yes, it's taking a while for the word to get out, but we are beginning to see some results from the Charitable Crop Donation Act, and that we're able now to have different kinds of conversations with our farm donors. We've always been blessed with great family farmers around this state that have been very generous and always wanting to do the right thing for their neighbors when they could. And what our earlier example about the cabbage producer in northern Colorado, what happened there was all of a sudden their product just wasn't saleable. And so what we hope that the Crop Donation Act and the PATH Act on the federal side do is just give a little bit more tools to offset the cost of getting this product out of the ground and into the hands of people who need it, and do it in such a manner that it offsets the expenses.
And this is Karen. I know that in the first year of the Charitable Crop Donation Act, the 5 food banks collectively saw over 100 million pounds of produce come into our food banks through that donation act. With that said, I have personally talked to many farmers who tell me that it's okay, they don't really need that, they're going to donate anyway. Our concern with that is that this is only in the legislature for 5 years, and if farmers do not utilize this act, this credit, it may go away. So I encourage producers to use the tax credit and ask for those donation receipts. Any of the 5 food banks can issue those donation receipts on behalf of agency partners.
Excellent. A good call to action there for growers viewing this, that please try to use that Charitable Crop Donation Act so it doesn't sunset in the legislature or doesn't get renewed after 5 years. We got a question from one of our viewers. In a CSA type business, can a customer also donate their share if they are not going to be able to use it because of vacations, other factors? And would that CSA share also get a tax break in those donations?
This is Karen, I personally at our food bank are seeing a CSA member come in weekly with a portion of her share from a farmer, and we are actually crediting the farmer, and that was an agreement that we made. I don't believe the CSA member would get any credit, but certainly the farm can get that credit. So I am issuing receipts directly to the farm.
It would the Colorado Charitable Crop Act Donation Act. It only affects those people who file a Form F on their, Schedule F on their federal income tax.
Gotcha. So the CSA person could even buy a full share with the intent of donating it to a food bank. The farmer, if they file a Schedule F, could then get that tax credit.
Correct.
Gotcha. Well, within the realm of the donations, it sounds like the Charitable Crop Donation Act is helping to increase the volume of product donated. Are there things, since you guys are seeing this on the front line from these 5 food banks, are there additional things that could be done to increase farmer donation in the realm of infrastructure, additional incentives, different additional promotion? What can we do to increase donation, since that sounds very important for the food banks in Colorado and the Feeding Colorado network?
This is Karen once again. I think that one of the things that we always need to be reminded of is that no donation is too small, nor is no donation too big. But I do believe that some producers think that that box of carrots might just be too small, and they don't want to bother us to come get that or to bring it to our facility. We need each and every bag or box or whatever it might be of produce for our clients. Additionally, as we spoke about earlier, the price of packaging is very cumbersome to growers, and we know that those cardboard boxes for peaches, for instance, cost $1.50 a piece. And so we really, really want to encourage producers to donate to us in bulk. We, as was mentioned earlier, many of us have repack rooms, and we can repack that product into the bags or the boxes that we need. And that will cut out a lot of costs to the growers. And once again, we are very happy to get those bulk totes back to the growers.
Gotcha.
This is Josh from Larimer County again. Another thing that I know has really helped me in terms of increasing our local sourcing is just spreading the word. We're doing work that I know all of our Colorado growers align with, which is, feeding people. And the more you socialize and talk to other farmers and friends and family who aren't involved with farming and spread the word about what we're doing and how you're working with us or how you'd hope to work with us, come by for a tour, reach out to one of us. It's an incredible experience to see firsthand the food going out to the people who need it. So spread the word and see for yourself what we're doing. That will kickstart these relationships, I think, just about more than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're seeing some organizations wanting to wade into, as you guys alluded to earlier, I think Bob was telling the story about the cabbage of how to create gleaning activities, because sometimes that's one of the barriers within farms, whether they can appropriate time of their own farm workers to go do this harvest for this product. And in some instances, they may have concerns about liability of non-staff coming on as gleaners. Are there any best practices or models that you could suggest where viewers would want to help to build capacity in gleaning efforts to get product to food banks?
This is Karen. There are several organizations out there that are very happy to come out and glean fields for farmers. One of them that many don't know about is our Feds Feed Family event that is occurring every year. When President Obama first came into office, he asked the federal government workers across the nation to do summer food drives. And that has morphed into something much larger in the past couple of years. The Feds Feed Family organizations are actually going out to farmers' fields and gleaning product from the fields. They're coming into food bank warehouses and helping with volunteer activities. And they are a very credible organization, very well structured. And I think that it gives peace of mind to the landowner, the farmers, when they see an organization such as this come out. Another one is our FFA, our Future Farmers of America. Those high schoolers, junior high and mostly high schoolers, often have community service work that they need to do. They're a great group of individuals, and they too can go out and work with us to glean farmers' fields. And then all of us have volunteer coordinators on site at our food banks. We could not do what we do on a daily basis without our volunteers. So our volunteer coordinators gather people as well, and we can go out and in just a couple hours glean a lot of produce out of a farmer's field, making it ready to either replant or till under the rest of it and get ready to for the next season.
This is Bob from the Weld Food Bank, and part of the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act, it covers specifically gleaning, so that you know, some of the liability fears that people have about, you know, people gleaning in their fields, I think can be taken care of by being more familiar with some of the protections that already exist in the law. And for me personally, I think that, you know, the greatest thing that we can do for both farmers and food banks is just to continue this conversation, continue these kinds of conversations between our two groups, because, you know, we have questions like, gosh, in our world, if we can get a farmer to plant, you know, a little excess for donation, that's great. Well, what does it cost the farmer, and what does the farmer need to make that work for them? What does the, you know, different folks have different business models. You know, there's a farmer up in northern Colorado whose business model revolves primarily around, you know, public gleaning of his fields. So I think, you know, these are just great, you know, this is just all great subjects for further conversations, and we just want to continue our relationship with the Colorado Fruit and Vegetable Growers Association, because we're seeing the beginnings of some real opportunities for both us and farmers to grow our you know, different businesses.
And this is Karen once again. I would like to also point out that all of the folks that are talking today are all ServSafe certified, and all of our food banks are AIB certified, which is the highest level of food safety. We take food safety it's a very important thing to us. The clients that we serve are often compromised in a health way, and it's very important for the donor, for the farmer, to know that the product that you either donate or sell to us, we are handling with the highest degree of food safety, and it is not staying in our warehouse very long at all before it turns around and goes right back out the door. So once again, to the producers out there, this is, if you are not working with the food banks, this is an awesome market to get into. Many of us have food pantries on site, and we put signage out in the food pantries where this produce was grown. And those are going to be future customers of yours. So very important. It's a great win-win for everyone.
Excellent, excellent. In terms of partnerships, I've heard that through some conversations with EPA that there's interest in exploring the food waste issue in Colorado, both on the consumer side, certainly on the consumer side, as we know that maybe 30% of the produce that consumers purchase doesn't, you know, either goes into the garbage disposal or goes into the landfill where it could create methane, whatnot. There's also perhaps some room for conversation around this supply side into food banks. Are you guys open to talking with other, expanding that partnership base?
We are, and we have had conversations with some of the local EPA representatives as well along these lines. I think that there's opportunity there as well.
Great. Well, finally, are there any things that partners like CFEGA can do to better tell this story, to explain the successes, to explain the benefits of doing it? You're trying to amplify your voices. Thank you today for doing that through this webinar. What else can we do to get this story out there?
You know, Adrian, we really appreciate all that Colorado Fruit and Vegetable Growers Association has done for us. We'd love to come back to the conference in February and have yet another breakout session, get more people in the room to hear what's going on. I think the biggest thing is that, once again, the slide that we showed with all of the producers, producers talk to producers, farmers talk to farmers. So please, if you're not already working with us, reach out to your friends and coworkers here, your co-farmers, and see what their experience has been. I think that you will be surprised. It's been really, really positive for so many of these folks. So we just want to thank you for your support.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Before we go to final polls, there's a question just for clarification. If in that scenario of a CSA member donating their share, would they, in the case of just being any regular citizen, maybe with a large garden, if they donated that produce share, could they receive that tax credit or receive some sort of donation to a charitable a 501c3 nonprofit for their own purposes of their own taxes?
Certainly, anyone who donates basically anything to anyone 501c3 is allowed a tax deduction. It's just, you know, the simplest thing that we all have probably experienced is, you know, having Goodwill or the Ark or somebody come by and pick up that bag of things we don't want around the house anymore and leave you that receipt that you're able to take off of your taxes. And so what we do similar to that with the food bank is, and we do reach out all the time to home gardeners, especially this time of the year, that if you have excess in your home garden, please bring it to the food bank, and we give a donation credit based upon pounds of food donated, and then that is used on your federal taxes, and just like, again, you would get from a Goodwill or a Salvation Army or someone like that.
So you just need to consult your tax accountant on something like that. Just to be clear, the charitable crop tax credit can only be used for producers who are filing a Schedule F on their federal tax return, even though it is a Colorado tax credit.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, at this point, let me ask you to pass screen sharing back to me, and we'll conduct some final polls. Great. 1 second. Okay. Well, let's test our knowledge gain with our viewers here. Okay, everybody, here we go. Did you learn something new today? Yes or no? Look for that polling pop-out window. Will you use some of the information or practices that you learned today? Yes or no? And the final evaluation question, will you share this information with other people? Go ahead and cast your votes in there. Wonderful. Well, it looks like we got some folks that have learned some things here live, and I'm going to share with more than one person. Thank you very much. And we've done our question and answer. I want to thank our panelists for making time, to all 5 of them. This is a really big treat that we get them all in one place to present this webinar today. Thank you so much for making time to help us learn more about Feeding Colorado and how to donate produce. And for all of our viewers, this recording will be available at coloradoproduce.org/business development. And any additional questions, I think you saw some of their contact information. You can direct those to our panelists. And panelists, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adrian.